know, career or family, because the demands on the man and the woman in our social, cultural setting, context, are not the same. What do you make of that? Or are we making too much of it?
I think it is what we make of it. There's a phenomenon which has dramatically changed the workplace and the future of work. And in fact, the present of work, not just the future of work. And that was the advent of COVID. And I think we can now historically speak of a pre-COVID and a post-COVID period insofar as the workplace is concerned. And pre-COVID, the demands may have been for time as an exchange for money, presence as an exchange for pay. And so if you were not in the office between certain times, then it was viewed that perhaps you were not delivering as you should. What COVID taught us by keeping us all at home for very long periods of time is that it is possible for there to be performance without being physically present, and for deliverables to be based on the activity that needs to be done rather than the physical presence of a human being. We're seeing across the world a change in how the workplace is. I think recently there's just been a report on 100 companies in the UK moving their work week to a 4-day work week with the same pay as a 5-day work week, but understanding and appreciating that the work can be delivered in different ways from different fora in different environments, but still be able to bring back to the company the value of the person that it has employed. Now, the question becomes one which I think she had said, which is one of mindset. And mindset is always a much more difficult thing to change. And here's the thing. In this new paradigm, what worked in the past cannot continue to work in the way in which it did, and we expect same or even better results. So right now, what it is, I think, in terms of the clash or the challenge for us is to let go of the notion that things need to be done in a certain way. Work needs to be done in the presence. There are some jobs that will require some presence. We have to be in this studio. I don't even know that we have to be in the studio.
No, clearly, because
enough technology.
Rachel is here from Addis Ababa.
Exactly. Rachel can be in Addis Ababa. You could be in your front room for all that you know. And we were all sent these virtual backgrounds, so we look like we are. We know that we have television stations and that we have media that is running like this and very successfully. Therefore, the intersection of technology with human capacity is allowing our work experiences to be different. And the question now is one of embracing it, which brings an interesting facet to mentorship, since this is the topic that we're on.
Yes.
Mentorship by younger, more tech-savvy, more open-minded individuals towards mentoring older, more technically skilled, better experienced people in embracing new technology to further their careers, their experience of life, and their expression of who they are. So whereas before we thought of mentorship as a, older to younger and it's going to come one way, we now have the opportunity to open it up, and not just the opportunity. In order for us to reinvent ourselves, all of us are going to have to open ourselves to the possibility that a teen can teach you something about an app that will make it a significant difference to your experience, to your ability to reach your market. If you will allow yourself to be humble enough to say, I have the technical know-how on the subject matter, but I have no idea how to put it out there. Exactly. And I need somebody who's able to do that. And therefore opens our opportunity to learn and to grow, not just from those who have been in the field for longer, but now for those who haven't, precisely because they haven't been in the field for that long, and therefore they are challenging every single paradigm and every single thinking. Let me inject one more thing, if I may. That there's a group that you spoke of about, the women who are in informal urban settings, or women who are at the bottom of what we call the economic pyramid, who are the majority of our women, who are not the women who are represented here at the present time, who, if we do not take care of, then we risk collapsing a society in the most desperate of ways and in the most unnecessary. And let me present another group that I work with, women in and women coming out of prisons. 73% of the women in prisons, Olive, you know this, and we've just done the survey, and by we, I mean Clean Start, which is the organization where I sit, one of the organizations on whose board I sit. 73% of the women in prison today are in prison for non-violent, poverty-related crimes. That is to say what? She was selling without a license. She was selling things that did not have a KEBS certificate. She was selling outside of the designated area.
Or illegal.
She was selling counterfeit, or was deemed to have been selling illegal, or was, here's a crime which, you know, you'd have thought 50, almost 60 years past independence we'd have gotten rid of. She was loitering with intent to commit immoral, with immoral purposes, whatever the heck that is in this age. She loitering with intent to commit a violation of morality.
I didn't even know there was such an offense.
And as we are getting rid of them in the penal code, which I'm certainly hoping that this parliament does, I think that's one of the first things it should do, we are bringing them back, especially the loitering, the licensing laws, we're bringing them back in our county regulations. And therefore, the women that she is mentoring are ending up in the places where I am going, to the 18 prisons that we work in so far, because, not because they are incapable, but because they are poor. And once you have a prison experience, prison is designed to destroy the human spirit, to reconstruct that
Not
woman.
reform?
We could say reform, and they are working very, very hard towards reformation. But this prison experience itself, in its design 70, 80, 100 years ago, was not designed with reformation. We are reforming the prison system in order to reform the people. The way it was designed was the crushing of the human spirit. Sure. It was for punishment. This was its original intent. Now, reformation and the work that is being done to reform is awesome. But reformation must include the next step if we're going to talk about mentorship.